Well, the title sounds a hell of a lot more serious than this video actually is going to be. Polydrug abuse and nicotine. No, I'm just talking about how well nicotine combines with other tasty drugs that we love to enjoy, like caffeine. Any smoker will tell you they really crave a cigarette when they got that caffeine thing going as well. You know, you get that hot cup of coffee, that cigarette just tastes so good. Well, there's a reason for that. It has to do with the way that your brain metabolizes chemicals and uses them, and the way that chemicals work together or synergize. Now, it's well known that you must never ever take a narcotic pain tablet and then wash it down with liquor. Because what happens is 1 + 1 = 156 in this case, and you can kill yourself. But on a smaller scale, from what I've been able to understand from my research, and remember, I'm not a doctor, but from what I've been able to figure out from the research I've done is that some drugs simply go together beautifully. And one of them is caffeine. Costa Rican Volio coffee. It's so good. And nicotine. In my case this morning, nasal snuff. Now, there are other drugs that seem to go real well with nicotine, including alcohol. And for those who abuse illegal drugs, I've been told that cocaine and nicotine are a natural fit, especially if you're a menthol smoker. And that leads us to a bit of brain physiology. In fact, I said in my last video that nicotine tickles or fits into a lot of the neuroreceptors that receive opioids in the brain, such as Vicodin, for instance. But menthol in the cigarette also taps into the cocaine receptors, the stimulant receptors. So it's like doing a John Belushi speedball with every puff. You get your heroin, you get your cocaine. And for that reason, nicotine does combine very well with other drugs. And in this case, we're going to call menthol a drug because it is hitting neuroreceptors. It is causing a physiological and behavioral change in the smoker, although a subtle one. And so therefore, by definition, that menthol is a drug. And it goes very well with your nicotine, doesn't it? Now, as I said, we got caffeine, goes well with nicotine. You got alcohol. God knows, you have that cocktail. Doesn't it feel good, taste good to have that cig? That's because the nicotine is working with the other drug to create an overall effect in your brain. That would be considered, if we were talking, again, if we were talking heroin instead of nasal snuff, this would be called polydrug abuse. You know, trying to find the perfect cocktail to get yourself really messed up. But because nicotine is more or less legal in this country, maybe we should call it something else. Hang on a second. A little bit of the Bureau from Freiburg and Trier, excuse me. So what I'm saying is this. It's going to be even harder for us to quit smoking cigarettes as long as we still have these other drugs that go so well with nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, menthol. And this is something you need to be aware of as a smoker if you're trying to quit. Also, coffee in the morning, for instance, is a psychological trigger. You take the cup of coffee, right away you think, I gotta light the cigarette. Or telephone calls, for a lot of people, can be the trigger to smoke. Oh, I'm on the phone, I gotta light up a cigarette. After a big meal or after sex. Oh, honey, that felt great. Now give me a smoke. You know what I'm talking about. Different substances and different occasions, different situations, will trigger us to smoke cigarettes. So if you're trying to quit smoking, obviously, maybe you avoid that cup of coffee in the morning, or at least don't have it in the same conditions, the same cup, the same location. Have it in a public place where you can't smoke, or maybe switch to tea. Either way, it's a very complicated picture of the way all these drugs work together, this nicotine, this alcohol, this caffeine. And it makes it harder for us to quit smoking cigarettes. But gratefully, it makes us enjoy our various substances even more when they combine nicely. Like putting salt and pepper on your steak, or like putting butter on your toast. These drugs combined make a very pleasant effect, and for cigarette smokers, more of a challenge to quit. But for nasal snuffers and people who use snus, might not be such a bad thing. From the dank basement, talking a mile a minute because of this delicious coffee, this is your wicked Uncle Squiddy. Thanks for watching.